Hello, everybody, and welcome to TalkAbout, the now weekly news show where I, Alex Brown, round up the hottest gaming news from the past week and just pick out some of the biggest headlines from them and really just break them down with you. As this is the first rendition in this new format for the show, I am still finding my footing. You understand how that goes, I'm sure. So bear with me while I sort of figure it out. It's a trial and error thing. That's what this whole process is about. But to help with search engine optimization, SEO, we're going to start with the news that came out from this past Friday, then work backwards. No, we're not going to work backwards. And then we'll figure it out from there. We're just going to look from the past week. We're going to start on Friday so that it helps with the SEO. And then we'll circle back and hit all the other headlines from the week. So, yesterday was the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival, and there was a pretty big headline to come out of that. And it's probably not the biggest story, but the implications of it could be pretty big. So, we're going to read from The Verge. We have a write-up from Ash Parrish. The critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV is finally coming to Xbox. During the Final Fantasy XIV FanFest keynote, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer appeared to announce the news alongside game director Naoki Yoshida. I am probably mispronouncing that. I apologize. And they said this: "We want to bring the Xbox community and your warriors of light together in a way that is safe, secure, engaging, and above all, fun," Phil Spencer said. Which, in of itself, all right, Final Fantasy XIV, massively popular MMORPG, big deal apparently. Having been a primarily Xbox player, I can't say I've ever understood its popularity. So, obviously I'll give it a try, because Final Fantasy XVI so far has been pretty cool and not too shabby. And I believe it's the same development team, so I like 16, so I might like 14. So I'll definitely check it out when it comes to the Xbox platform. When does it say? Where does it say? Let me continue. Let me finish reading this article. As a result, Final Fantasy XIV will come to the Series S and X platforms and feature faster loading times and 4K resolution for Series X. Fortunately, Xbox fans won't have to wait for the game's latest expansion to play. According to Yoshida, the Xbox version will launch in spring 2024, with an open beta to take some place around the launch of patch 6.5. Progress from the open beta will carry over, so Yoshida encouraged Xbox players to sign up for the beta. Which, yes, all good and well. I'll probably check it out. I'll check out the full release in spring 2024. But that's not the most interesting bit of news from this. The most interesting bit of news is the follow-up tweet that Phil Spencer put out after the announcement, which says this: "Enjoyed being on stage with Yoshi P and Kiryu-san to announce Final Fantasy XIV coming to Xbox. We're thrilled that the Xbox community will join the Warriors of Light, and we look forward to partnering closely with Square Enix on future games." So yeah, the most interesting takeaway from this is that last bit from his tweet there. "And we look forward to partnering closely with Square Enix on future games." Now, what does that mean? Because if you guys have been paying close attention to Square Enix and primarily Final Fantasy releases on Xbox, you'll see that, well, 16 wasn't on there, 14 wasn't on there, and Forspoken Square Enix wasn't on Xbox as well. A lot of Square Enix titles are exclusive to PlayStation because of, the deals they're making behind the scenes. But with Phil Spencer saying that we look forward to partnering closely with Square Enix on future games, now what could that mean? Could that mean that they're working towards putting some of Final Fantasy, the other exclusive games, onto the Xbox platform? Like, is Final Fantasy VII Remake finally going to make its way to the Xbox? Who knows? Or Or is the key word there on future games, meaning future Square Enix games will make their way to Xbox, and they might be saying that exclusivity deals are done for with them? Either way, it's an interesting implication there. With Final Fantasy XIV finally coming to the Xbox, it just makes you wonder what that partnering closely part could mean for the future. And I'm excited. I hope it does mean that more Final Fantasy games, or just Square Enix games in general, will be on Xbox, because I prefer to play my games on my Xbox. So that'd be nice. But let's run back in time to earlier in the week when it was rumored. This headline reads that Insomniac Games may have a third AAA PS5 exclusive in development. This comes from Push Square by Sammy Baker. Also, I should probably mention that I am reading bits and pieces from articles, the headlines, where these headlines are coming from. I'm not reading the entire thing because I still want to encourage you to seek these articles out and give these websites the click that they deserve. But I do use the articles to have a format, a sort of guideline to follow, if that makes sense. But yes, Insomniac Games may have a third AAA PS5 exclusive in development. And the article reads as such. In addition to the upcoming Marvel's Wolverine, it sounds like the Burbank-based developer has a third unannounced project currently in production. Aaron Eberhardt, a former Blizzard staffer, teased the title as part of a Full Sail University seminar, which has been shared on social media. She's currently a project director at the developer. So it's not much to go off of. But she reiterates twice that the game is unannounced and that she's unable to talk about it. She's also eager to stress that the game she's working on is AAA, so this isn't a side project. Presumably, it'll be its next big thing. So there's a lot of speculation. That's what this show is going to be a lot of, because there's going to be a lot of rumors in the news. You understand how it goes. You see the headlines. And Insomniac making a third AAA game, I don't even know what it could be. I'll be honest with you. A lot of signs point to it potentially being another Miles Morales sized game, because that's still considered a AAA release, I would say. And it would make sense considering how quickly they're able to pump these games out. Is it potentially like a spin-off from Wolverine? Like how Spider-Man had the spin-off to Miles Morales? Or Miles Morales was the spin-off to Spider-Man, so maybe Wolverine could have a spin-off potential game in there. Who knows? A lot of people are hopeful for something insane, I'm sure, but I'm not going to get my hopes too high on that one. It could be multiplayer related because this project director is a former Blizzard staffer, and of course Blizzard primarily a multiplayer studio. So there's a lot of things it could be, and I don't want to take up too much time speculating on things that I don't know all about. So let's turn to some sad news, because sometimes the news is sad, you know. This comes from Video Games Chronicle by Chris Golian. Headline reads: CD Projekt Red plans to lay off around 100 staff, 99% of its team. CD Projekt Red has announced that it will be laying off nearly 10% of its staff in the coming months. In an organizational update message posted on the studio's official website, CD Projekt CEO Adam Kaczynski states that the company wants to have teams that are more agile and more effective, and that after analyzing the teams in the company, the decision has been made that some are no longer needed. We've carefully assessed all teams in the company in terms of their expected contribution to the delivery of our strategy, Kaczynski writes. There's no easy way to say this, but today we are overstaffed. We have talented people on board who are finishing their tasks, and based on current and expected project needs, we already know we don't have other opportunities for them in the next year. The outcome is the studio parting ways with around 100 people, which is roughly 9% of the entire team. This will not be immediate, as some employees will be let go as late as Q1 2024, but in the spirit of transparency, we've chosen to share the information now. We want team members to have ample time to process and adjust to the change, and we've also made sure to offer everyone a comprehensive severance package. And there's no way around that. It's just a bummer. It's becoming more and more common in the games industry and just the tech industry as a whole. Studios have just been ballooning to a point where they just can't keep up anymore. That really took place over COVID, I feel, when the gaming industry as a whole blew up, when everyone was staying inside and just needed something to do. The games industry as a whole sort of skyrocketed a bit. So a lot of companies also ballooned up themselves, and it just seems like CD Projekt Red overextended themselves. Our CD Projekt, to be clear, parent company, overextended themselves. But I will say, as far as layoffs go, this is one of the most graceful ways to do it. They're getting way ahead of it, and everyone is getting comprehensive severance package. So everyone has enough time to sort of plan their next steps, which is the silver lining. But people losing their jobs is never fun, especially 100 people, 9% of CD Projekt. That's crazy. But these things happen, and they're going to keep happening until the studio heads up at the top just plan better and manage better. But there's not much else I can really say on that. But let's turn things around with some Mortal Kombat 1 news. Also officially revealed last week, was the Mortal Kombat Combat Pass number 1. The leaks were true. This comes from Polygon. Here's a first look at Homelander and Peacemaker in Mortal Kombat 1. NetherRealm Studios finally made it official. Homelander from The Boys, Peacemaker from the DC Universe, Omni-Man from Invincible will appear as guest characters in Mortal Kombat 1 as part of the game's first Combat Pack DLC. These characters will be joined by Mortal Kombat veterans Quan Chi, Ermac, and Takeda. And all that's really awesome. And as you can see, I'm putting up the screenshot at least. As you can see, it's Homelander from The Boys. It's not Homelander from the comics. Or The Boys is the comics. It's Homelander from the Prime show, which is great. And it's John Cena from Peacemaker. How awesome. And of course, Omni-Man. Also cool. And Takeda's there. I think he's a combat kid from Mortal Kombat X. I don't remember entirely. But yeah, Mortal Kombat is one of those franchises, one of those long-standing franchises that over the years just felt impossible to get into, but I eventually did with Mortal Kombat X. And then, of course, I continued with Mortal Kombat 11. So it's really cool to be actively looking forward to Mortal Kombat 1. And I'm now in a place where I can be disappointed in the character roster, just like so many other people are every iteration. Like, where's Cassie Cage? I know that the timeline doesn't make any sense for her to be there, but if Takeda can be there, where's Cassie at, Come on, put her in the game. But that's probably unlikely considering the next point. That in of itself isn't really newsworthy. Of course, you have returning characters as well, Ermac, Quan Chi. I'm not really into those characters, I'll be honest. They look lame to me personally. I know people love them, but whatever. But that's not really news because that was leaked such a long time ago. But speaking of leaks, apparently the Mortal Kombat Combat Pass number 2 has been leaked. Combat Pack number 2 has been leaked as well. So I direct you over to Dexerto. And the article reads like this. Where'd it go? There you go. Industry insider and Twitter user Idle Sloth shared a list of characters that will allegedly feature in Mortal Kombat Combat Pack. In Mortal Kombat 1's Combat Pack 2, the insider claims that these details come from a leaker who has hit the vast majority of Mortal Kombat reboot leaks. Should the leak prove correct, players can expect the Pack 2 roster to include all of the following. All right, so here's the kicker. Here's the newsworthy part. Also, a rumor, but it comes from a proven leaker. So take it all with a grain of salt, though, because things could change considering how far out this pack must be. So take it all with a grain of salt. But the second pack is rumored to include Deathstroke, DC's Deathstroke, Doomslayer, Bethesda's Doomslayer, Harley Quinn, DC's Harley Quinn, Kano, Noob Saibot, and Serena. The latter three being longtime Mortal Kombat mainstays. It seems kind of weird that Kano isn't in the main roster, I'll be honest with you. He apparently is just a cameo fighter, so that's odd. But if that's the case, that's pretty cool. Okay? Like, I know a lot of people have their own opinions on crossover characters, and that's crossover with a K, by the way, in case you were wondering. People have their own opinions on just characters in general crossing over like that in any IP. I personally think it's great because, I like Mortal Kombat, but I definitely like Injustice because of those characters. And the more DC characters they put, or the more just cool characters they put in Mortal Kombat in general, the more I'm gonna play it. Like Homelander, Omni-Man, and Peacemaker alone, already really cool and gets me more excited to play the game than I would be if they weren't in it. So you're telling me that Deathstroke, Doomslayer, and Harley Quinn are going to be there too eventually? Like, sign me up twice. But of course, that is a rumor. Take that all with a grain of salt. And for our last news story from the week, we turn to IGN.com, where they had a hands-on preview with Armored Core 6. This comes from Mitchell Saltzman. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is a game that marks several returns for From Software. It's a return to the series that they built much of the foundation of their legacy off of, a return to the series that they've not touched since 2013's Armored Core Verdict Day, and a return to a genre that isn't anything remotely close to a Souls-like. They got to play through the entirety of the first chapter of Armored Core 6, and if the initial impressions are anything to go off, it's a return that's going to be triumphant. Of course, you can go out there, IGN.com, read their full preview, but I just want to read their intro and their last paragraph here. Armored Core 6 feels like a new beginning for this storied franchise, one that's benefited from the success and experience gained from Software's other titles, but one that is still true to the original vision of the series. I can't wait to see what lies beyond Chapter 1 when Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon releases on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC on August 25th. So all of that to say, it's shaping up to be a great time. It's shaping up to be an Armored Core game that takes all of the learnings from Software of today, and we all know how good From Software is today. So just imagine that. That applied to a mech game just sounds awesome. I can't say that I am familiar with Armored Core 6, or Armored Core in general, but there are more previews out there, of course. A lot of press people got their hands on there. And a lot of them were talking about how it's their first Armored Core game and how much they all enjoyed it. So Armored Core 6 is shaping up to be a pretty good game. If you weren't hyped up enough already, now is the time, with all these previews coming out, to just, check them out, see if they speak to you, and I'm sure Armored Core 6 is going to be one of the best games of the year, based on From Software's track record. And that gets me nervous because there's so many good games coming out in this little bubble, in this next 2-month period, 3-month period. It's going to be really hard to pick the favorite. I can't imagine how the Game Awards is going to go this year. But yeah, that wraps up this first rendition of this news show for TalkAbout. I do feel like, as it is the first step into it, that there are things to tweak. Segues could be better. Flow could be better. But, as I said at the top, it's all trial and error. But, yeah. What about you? What do you think about the news stories from this week? What did you think about these headlines? Which of these stories stuck out to you the most? And, What do you think about them all? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. But yeah, thanks for checking out this episode of Talk About, the show where I break down the latest and greatest gaming news with you. If I missed any stories, make sure I don't next week by clicking the link in the description below to write in with a story that you think should be spoken about. But yeah, we'll fine tune some things from this episode, fix them for next week, and we'll have a better show. It's all a learning process. I'm having fun. That's all that matters. But yeah, until then, stay safe and play some video games.